These bills keep getting signed. We never hear people railing against the Republicans that vote to keep all of these ridiculous funding provisions in these bills, that vote with Democrats to keep funding these things. You never hear about that. I mean, you'll hear if Massey or Paul or someone votes against the big, beautiful bill or whatever. Actually, people were all over Thomas Massey for not voting for the bill that Trump signed yesterday. When you go through his list of all the stuff that it's funding or amendments that could have been added to the bill, you're like, really? You guys wanted to do this? This is what you're upset that a Republican congressman didn't want to vote for? Really? So my question today is, what's America first? What's MAGA? What are we doing here?
It seems like we're just continuing on the same policies that we always have, just different rhetoric.
At this point, like, the only argument for Republicans is that they're not Democrats. In fact, that might be the only good thing about Republicans.
But they are.
Well, we're talking about parties right now.
Technically speaking.
There are many ways in which I believe Republicans are better than Democrats when it comes to certain cultural items, for sure. But
what they say they say it with their mouth. They don't practice it technically.
Let me give you some examples of some of the stuff that's going on right now. This is interesting. Very interesting. Now, we talked about this agency, and this is a flashback here to March of last year back in the Doge days. So there was this agency, there is this agency called the African Development Foundation, the United States African Development Foundation. Sounds like something that money should be taken out of my paycheck to pay for sure. Doesn't everyone agree with that?
This is America first.
Everyone listening right now agrees that if you don't give the African Development Foundation your money, then you should rightfully be put in prison. That's what you guys
support
agree.
America.
Yeah. You're not America first. You're not America first, baby. So Doge decided they were going to audit this agency. There were a lot of reports of fraud and stuff going on at this agency, and this agency locked the doors. They refused to let them in. Later on, what you found was Doge cut $51 million from the US ADF. And then we had these stories, and there was a good investigation done by Luke Rosiak. And so there was an official at the US ADF that was steering money to, among other places, a company that his friend owned, that he had known for a long time. And then he was getting kickbacks from the payments that were going to that company.
There's a real reason they didn't want to be audited by Doge.
Yes, there
because
often
they were committing fraud.
Like, if you're there and you're spending other people's money, you should welcome an audit. Yeah, come and check. You know what? I want to know if we're doing something wrong. You tell me, because I don't want to misuse the taxpayers' money. Come look through our books.
I'm a public servant.
I'm not here to steal money from people. We're trying to do the right thing. And if you can find something, then let me know. Write it down. And if you found someone I should fire or that's doing something illegal, I want to know about it, because I want to be the person to fire that person. No, they locked the doors. They locked the doors. They had to get U.S. Marshals in. Now, Trump tried to dismantle the U.S. ADF because he is the executive, and this is an executive agency, and he tried to withhold their funding, and he tried to replace the person that was running the agency, and guess what happened? The federal judge came out and said, you can't do that. Congress created this agency, and they allocated this funding, and it's your job to just make sure that the money gets spent. Like, that's your job. But Congress created this. Therefore, you can't dismantle this agency. You can't pick who the new person is that's going to run it, because Congress has to confirm who's going to run this agency that you have control over as the executive.
Well, it's okay. So why doesn't the DOJ just arrest them all for fraud then? That'd be one way you could pick new people.
Well, that's a good question. So guess what happened just a few days ago? That person pled guilty to corruption, bribery, fraud of your money. That's good. Now, Mike Lee comes out same day this person pleads guilty and says, we should add an amendment to this here bill that says we are going to terminate this US ADF. We're just going to get rid of it. Okay.
Because we need Congress to get rid of it. So now someone in Congress is trying to.
Trump tried to do it. Federal judge said Congress created this. Congress has to do it. So a Republican Congress member says, oh, hey, I'm in Congress. And so let's try to do it. Let's stick it into this bill that we have to vote for in order to stop this shutdown that's happening right now. And that's great, except for the fact that 11 Republicans voted with all of the Democrats to keep the money flowing.
Jeez. But it's Thomas Massey's fault.
Yeah.
Not these guys.
John Boozman, Shelley Capito, Susan Collins, Kevin Kramer, Lindsey Graham, John Hoeven, Mitch McConnell, Jerry Moran, Lisa Murkowski, Tom Tillis, and Roger Wicker.
Update on the U.S. ADF vote. We cast it just a few minutes ago. Now keep in mind, this vote to defund U.S. ADF was supported by the acting chairman and CEO of U.S. ADF itself. And his call to defund it was based on an indictment and a guilty plea of this chief financial officer, among other things that led to him calling it a culture of waste, fraud, and abuse. It was also echoed by the Department of War's Doge office. And this was set at a simple majority threshold, should have been easy. Republicans acting alone could have, would have, and should have defunded this today. But instead, what was the result? Well, it was defeated. All Democrats voted to table it, and they were joined by just enough Republicans, just a small handful of them, to table this measure with a vote of 58 to 42. But I look forward, let's just say, to hearing my colleagues explain this vote.
They won't.
They won't, because not enough people are going to care. You know why? Trump's not going to mention it one single time. The people in these guys' states really not going to hear about it. They're just not going to. And at the end of the day, it was more important to get whatever the funding was in this bill passed through, because we didn't want to keep this shutdown going that we weren't even aware was happening. Haven't mentioned one single time. How about this?
God, okay. Can we just talk about that real quick?
Let's do it.
You see a story like that, and then one of my feelings that I have come over me is just disappointment, sadness, but also what's the point? What are we working for here? What, how do we ever right the ship if we can't even get the America First MAGA Republicans to defund a fraudulent organization that the acting executive of that organization says it needs to be defunded because it's pointless? We can't even get them to just eliminate that little bit of spending.
Oh, and they got a tiny budget too.
They're so addicted to the spending that this just wasn't worth the while to just, let's do something a little bit, Glad we arrested the guy, or he pleaded guilty, whatever the case is. But we could get rid of one bit of bloat, just a microcosm of bloat. And you have 11 Republicans, allegedly MAGA, America Firsters, that have decided that the billions of dollars that we're spending in Africa for their development is more important than just bringing that money back home.
These people, they need to be directed. They get their attention directed really by Trump, because Trump controls a large voting base and tells them what to be upset about. And I just wonder why he never picks these fights. Why is it that we did all of this at the beginning of his administration with Doge, and then they sent us a $9.1 billion rescissions package that barely passed, and then they refunded almost all of it later on? And there's just nothing about it at all. If he were to make that kind of big deal, I mean, to think about all the announcements that went into getting rid of the education department. I mean, they talked about that a lot, and people are upset about it. Has he once, actual question, not rhetorical, has he once asked Congress to abolish that department?
Not that I'm aware of. So that would be no.
Even a single post on Truth Social about it. Because once again, as soon as someone else comes into office, It's just back to exactly what it was. It's already got the same budget, plus a little bit more. Got to tack on some inflation on that, But it's not abolished, and it goes exactly back to what it used to be. As soon as Trump's out of office, has he once posted about abolishing it? Not a single time.
He wants the country to move on.
Yeah.
Nate, from Epstein, from all this stuff. It's time for the country to move on. He's going to fix healthcare.
You remember there was a really big video about fraud that went around like week after Christmas, that guy, Nick Shirley.
Oh, yeah.
Daycare fraud. Well, they're trying to withhold money going to these states for daycare because they don't, they're saying, well, you're not really complying and showing us this money's not going to ineligible individuals or that you're being a good steward of this money, and so we're just going to withhold it. Federal judge comes out and says, can't do that. Can't do it. Got to give them the money. Judge blocks Trump effort to withhold child care funds from states over fraud allegations. This from NBC News. And so guess what also happened before the bill was passed yesterday? Someone, I'm not going to say who, tried to add an amendment to the bill because a judge said Trump can't withhold daycare funds from states where his administration believes fraud is occurring. So I won't name who offered this amendment to the omnibus, which contains the daycare program funding to unambiguously give Trump the power to throttle those funds. And that amendment was blocked. In order for that amendment to get blocked, it's got to get blocked by Republicans. Just so you guys know.
God.
None of the funds made available by this act may be used to make payments under the Child Care and Development Fund, Temporary Assistance for Needy Families Program, or Social Services Block Grant Program to any state that the HHS Secretary basically has not complied with showing that we are not giving this to ineligible individuals. And so it actually gives them the power to say, it's not even saying that we're not going to do any daycare funding. It's not even saying that. It just says, if you don't show us for sure that this is going to eligible individuals, then we don't have to give you the money. We're not going to give you the money. If you show us, then we'll still give you the money. I'm still going to threaten that guy with prison time if he doesn't give over his money so I can give it to you.
I don't think we're angry enough.
I've been trying to tone down.
No, I'm not saying
anger.
us. I'm talking to America.
Oh, they get angry when they see the video of going up to a childcare thing and there's no kids there or something like that. But something has to happen after that. Congress, who allocates these funds, is going to have to do something. What we found out is that this system is set up that the president, the executive branch, cannot just stop this stuff. The bureaucracy has been set up to be permanent, and it takes an act of Congress to stop. But that's what I mean by permanent, by the way. It's not permanent in the case that it literally can't be gotten rid of. It's essentially permanent because it takes an act of Congress to remove this. And
they love spending.
Yeah, they're not going to want to do that.
No,
they're not interested in doing that.
It would hurt their campaign funds because they're getting some of this money back for their campaign.
That. This same unnamed individual in Congress put up a bunch of amendments.
It's Thomas Massey.
Oh, okay.
I'll name the individual.
I was trying not to bias anyone who was listening because now they know that we're talking about a Democrat.
Yeah.
You see,
and some people didn't even
out of the bag.
Some people didn't even get that joke.
No, probably not. So he said, I voted against a rule to bring this omnibus forward for a vote. Here's a breakdown of some of the most ridiculous items included and some of the America First items that were not. I offered amendments to correct these errors, all of which were blocked or refused. So he put out this big list of all these amendments, and no, just not going to happen. So we got $5 billion to provide cash benefits, healthcare, daycare, and job programs to refugees on the taxpayers' dime, something that we talked about last week or the week before. It is basically a giant welcome sign that says, come here as a refugee or an asylee as well. By asylee, I mean you have been granted asylum. So it's not just people who are waiting to get granted. once you are granted asylum, you are eligible. They'll just give you cash,
Straight cash, baby.
money for like it's anywhere from 4 to 12 months, something like that. And after that, you're eligible for all the other stuff too. That's great.
Definitely daycare.
Yeah.
Somali daycares.
$315 million to fund the CIA's branch of the State Department that propagandizes and destabilizes the globe and has a particular interest in censorship and attacking conservative media outlets. National Endowment for Democracy. That is that one, which
apparently all MAGA Republicans hate, but
I think they love it until proven otherwise. I think that they actually love trying to censor themselves online. Is
careful
what I
with
hear.
this next one now. You don't want to sound anti-Semitic, okay?
I know that this makes us sound anti-Semitic, but Charlie and I and some other people happen to believe that we should not have money taken from our paychecks through force, under threat of imprisonment, or worse if you refuse the imprisonment, and then given to other countries. First off, how is that America first? Second, WTF, what does that have to do with like my duty as a U.S. tax-paying citizen whatsoever? How can you possibly say that I'll go to prison if I don't want you to take my money and give it to another freaking country? Now, unfortunately on this first one, first country is Israel. So, as you guys can tell, we hate Jews. $3.3 billion to Israel. So that's that. Oh, also, don't forget another $500 million for Israel on top of that.
So $3.8 billion.
$3.8 billion for Israel. And on top of that, just so everyone remembers, if they happen to get into a tussle with Iran anytime again soon, we're also going to pay to defend them from any of the attacks on Iran, which we spent billions extra, between 10 and 20 billion extra in 12 days during this war that was named after the amount of days it occurred. 12-day war.
Yeah.
$1.5 billion for Egypt. Cool.
This doesn't make us
That's good.
Egyptianitic. Egyptiamites.
Sounds like a pyramid scheme. Don't forget about Jordan. Okay.
Oh,
Both.
we can't let the Jordanians feel left out.
As we know, both Republicans and Democrats buy Jordans. And so we got $2.1 billion for them.
Jesus. We sent $2.1 billion to Jordan?
Well, you know, it's important.
Have we
Gotta do
been
that.
funding Jordan for a long time? Like, is this new?
We've got $700 million for AIDS. This is probably to stop AIDS. I don't think it's to create AIDS, but it's not specifically worded in this post as to whether or not that is. How about this? You remember the conversation we had about the kill switch? They had yet another opportunity to prevent the government-mandated kill switch from being on all vehicles made after the year 2026. And by the way, 2027 model vehicles start getting made like halfway into 2026. And so we're going to see. We're going to see how that goes. I bet they'll never use that in a way that you would disagree with. I bet that would never happen. And it'll only be under the control of these companies. And I bet that no one in the government would ever try to secretly control those companies and get them to use it in ways that you would disagree with. I bet that would never happen at all.
It wouldn't.
Not possible. Once again, the funds for the daycare fraud, we talked about that. More stuff for FISA. One of the things with FISA is that they can compel private companies to spy on their behalf, essentially, if you make the devices that do it. So not even the provider, like a separate device too. You can be compelled to spy on behalf of the NSA or whoever it is.
Yeah,
that's
like
wanting to
they
spy
can
on
compel
people.
Amazon to spy on your Ring camera.
Yeah. We still have this thing. People are very upset about this. You remember in whatever year it was when Obama made it legal to propagandize U.S. citizens. Like, sure, we used to do this around the world, and then they decided that we could do it with the U.S. citizens too, and all the Republicans are big mad about that, except for every opportunity they have to stop it or to reverse it. Not this time. We'll get it. We'll get you next time when we have more margins in the Senate, probably.
And right now they control the House and the Senate.
Now, you still got to get stuff past the 60 vote threshold. So you got to keep that in mind. But that's an argument that, like, you'll hear, well, if they would have done any of these things, then the bill wouldn't have passed at all. To which I would say, okay, good. First off, no one even knows that we're in a partial government shutdown. So who cares? And you know what you should do? You should put the Democrats on record. Put them on record. So we were going to fund it. It was when we tried to make it illegal for us to propagandize U.S. citizens that the Democrats got upset and said they weren't going to vote for the bill. It was when we tried to make sure that people were not giving your money to daycares that were not eligible to receive the funds. Maybe you're talking to Democrats. It was when we decided that Donald Trump shouldn't control a kill switch that's on your car. Do you want Donald Trump to control a kill switch that's on your car? No. Democrats do.
Yeah,
put them on record for it.
It'd be so easy. But they don't want to do that.
And then he also included the SAVE Act into the bill, and that couldn't do that either. Although right now it's super important to get the SAVE Act through, and they want to get rid of the filibuster, or at least go to a talking or standing filibuster. And that's not going to happen either, but they also couldn't try to put it in this bill either. Now, after we go through all that, Tim Burchett, or Burchett, I don't know how you say his name, which, by the way, I like him in a lot of stuff. I think he's, say, top 10% when it comes to people in Congress. But this post right here, he's leaving. He's upset. He says, if we listened to real Donald Trump, we would save billions.
1.2 trillion, whatever the heck that is. It's a bunch of appropriations, Department of Defense. Here we go again. It's $8.4 billion more than what Trump asked. Department of Labor, Human Health Services, $221 billion. This things just keep going. Exceeds the president's request and includes funding for programs President Trump zeroed out. Oh, man, there's a lot of stuff in here that just, there's earmarks for transgender surgeries on minors, abortion, syringe exchange programs, intersex and LGBTQ advocacy programs. Like, if you want to sponsor that stuff, pay for it out of your own dadgum pocket. We're $40 trillion in debt. We don't need to be mutilating kids on the altar of political correctness and this woke-utopia they're trying to create. It's a sad day when we do that. And that's what we use for negotiating. We got to start negotiating from power.
This woke-utopia.
Yeah, he's good. I like him. Like I said, he's not on the list of people I 100% hate, but I disagree with him on this. If we listen to Trump, we'd save billions. Well, guess what? All the stuff you just named, Trump signed the bill yesterday. It's law. He signed it yesterday.
Yeah. Money is now spent.
He's going, this is more than Trump asked for. This is more than Trump asked for. This is stuff Trump said that we need to defund and all that. Why didn't Trump send it back and say, I didn't ask for this amount. I asked for this amount. Less than that. Send it back. Take that out.
I'm also trying to defund these agencies.
Send it back to me.
Take the money out of these agencies.
What happens every time? He signs it. And why?
That's what I'm saying. You can no longer pay attention to words. It's just lip service. Their actions tell you a different story. Their actions tell you they're just fine with this level of spending. A few of them go out there and they actually say they're not okay with it, but then they end up voting for it. A few of them actually don't vote for it, so their actions do align with their words, but then they get called traitors. They're the ones that Trump is actively trying to campaign against.
Yep.
Because they're not loyalists. It's just it's the truest case of insanity. And how do you change it? How do you change it without marching to Capitol Hill?
Peacefully and patriotically?
Peacefully and patriotically. I don't know that you can. I mean, some of this stuff makes me so angry. I'm just like, I'm not going to pay taxes ever again.
But you're like, is that really worth
but then
going
I have
to prison?
I have a kid.
Yeah.
So it's like I feel trapped. But like I sure as hell don't want any of my money going to fund transgender surgeries or abortions or anything like that. Are you kidding me?
Well, guess what?
Let alone
It's
going to
going
foreign countries and all sorts of other stuff. Can we not make a case in the court of law that the government is using my funds, to fund things that I don't believe in?
That would be great. That'd be awesome. You should be able to earmark your money.
Yeah, I mean, the only real way is if we could somehow organize a movement to where the majority of Americans just don't pay their taxes. We stop giving them the money.
They can't put us all in prison.
They can't put us all in prison, but we would have to have a large cohort willing to potentially go to prison.
Yeah. And you'd have to, really trust each other a lot.
Yeah.
You'd have to really trust each other. Here's your talking points. If you're part of MAGA, signed into law, this is posted from the White House. President Donald J. Trump signs a fiscally responsible package that slashes wasteful spending. Well, what's that game called where you add in like the adjectives and stuff?
Mad Lib.
Mad Lib.
Mad Lib.
That's what this reads like to me. Like these were blanks in there. And what are we going to say about each one of these things? So President Donald J. Trump signs a fiscally responsible package that slashes wasteful federal spending while supporting critical programs that keep our nation safe, secure, and prosperous. A big win for the American people. What they won't tell you is that they slashed wasteful federal spending from a couple places, took that, added more money to it, and then put it into other wasteful programs in another place. But, what are you going to do? So there's a thing a lot of people are talking about. If you scroll through, at least our X feed, we all live in different worlds. It's crazy how we all live in different worlds, by the way. Like
different online realities.
And I love that. Like my wife, it's her birthday today. Happy birthday, wife.
Yeah, happy birthday, Nate's wife.
So it's great. She's a libertarian naturally, which is good, but she doesn't follow politics at all. To the point, I do this every day. To the point, like next week, she could ask me, so who's this Thomas Massey guy? And that could be
That's not true.
That could be a totally true, real question that she asked me next week.
Come on.
She doesn't follow any of it. We all live in our own separate little silos. And, she's all into that kidnapping right now. That Nancy Guthrie kidnapping. You following that? That's a sad story. I don't know if there's any new news on that right now. All right, here's this video about people's thoughts on voter ID. Now, you might think that voter ID, well, that's obviously racist. Well, there's this clip going around from CNN, and I believe it's probably Harry Hinton, more than likely, talking about this.
So take a look here. Favor voter ID to vote. Look, I got all this polling on the screen going back since 2018. You'll notice on all of it, it's all north of 75%, 76%, 76%, 76%, 81%, and then 83% in the last year of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj. They favor photo ID to be able to vote.
What about by party? What's the party breakdown?
Yeah, normally you might expect, hey, there'd be a big divide by party with Republicans really for it and Democrats really against it. But not really here. Just take a look here. Favor photo ID to vote. You got 95% of Republicans, pretty much all of them, but even 71% of Democrats favor photo ID to vote. So again, Nicki Minaj posting that on X.
How is this a thing that Congress can't get passed? Look at the numbers on the screen right now. And I believe that that's accurate. 95% of Republicans, 71% of Democrats. What is the independents are against national ID or whatever,
Yeah.
photo ID to vote? I don't want to call it national ID because then it sounds like something I don't want.
Right.
But how does that not become a bill that just easily gets signed into law by Congress?
In one day. You can just
that today.
Yeah.
It would be passed today.
You just have one sheet of paper, require an ID to vote,
Yeah.
and then you send that to the Senate. They pass it, and then you send it to the president. That could all be done in an hour.
And what this question should answer for you is that don't our representatives represent the American people? Think about all the stuff we just talked about in this episode. And then look at this right here. Would you say that our representatives are representing the American people? Or are they representing who? Their donors?
Their own special
about
interests.
it? Yeah.
They care about themselves.
That's it. Because if you had representatives that represented the American people, those are big enough numbers that something would happen. Okay. And then the other stuff, well, those people all get voted out of office or something like that. It really comes down to the voters. Is what, like, these people keep getting reelected.
85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country. A photo ID to vote is not controversial in this country. It is not controversial by party, and it is not controversial by race. The vast majority of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj that, in fact, you should have a photo ID to be.
What's up
bringing
with
in Nicki Minaj?
Yeah.
Well, she's like apparently a big, MAGA, immigration hawk and all that. I don't know. I've seen her mentioned plenty of times. I haven't seen any of it myself, but I hear that that's the case. Apparently, I don't know. Maybe we can. Maybe
It
I'll
just,
put
it
in something.
sounds racist, Nate.
Chuck Schumer says that this is never going to happen. It's going to impose Jim Crow style restrictions on voting that will be dead on arrival in the Senate. Now that is the SAVE Act. So there's a disconnect, I believe, between people's feelings that it should require photo ID to vote and what that actually looks like implemented. Because your photo ID, assuming these people want the photo ID to ensure people are citizens, they could just want it, some of them who answered that, to make sure that it's the actual person that's voting and not someone else voting on their behalf. There's another reason there too. If you want to make sure the photo ID says that they're actually citizens, well, you got to have photo ID that indicates that you're a citizen of the U.S. Real ID doesn't even do that. Then we just got, it can, but that's not something that's like fully implemented and sure does. Like they look at the proper paperwork to give you that real ID where they can indicate that you're an official U.S. citizen. And this is a somewhat hilarious part of how the government works. They passed Real ID in 2005. It took from 2005 to 2025 for it to get implemented. And I'm not a fan of Real ID. I'm closer to favoring no ID than I am the Real ID. But, let's go along these lines. I guess maybe it's important to have some kind of identification sometimes. Not sure. I could be swayed either way. It took them 20 years to get that implemented. And in that they finally got it. They just got it last year. Okay. And it doesn't show the thing that you would need to comply with the SAVE Act, which means everyone who just got those would need to go back and get a new ID.
20 years from now.
There's the other part.
In 2045.
What I want everyone to remember is what I just said. 20 years for Real ID to actually get implemented. Okay?
But Nate,
even if the SAVE Act.
Look, we passed the Real ID thing, and then the economic collapse happened, and
yeah,
we were still in the war on terror. There were all these things happening, and it was just impossible for the American people to go out and get their Real ID.
Well, it's a mess to try and implement this system. Like, it is a decentralized, it's a terrible word, but whatever. It's not really a national ID like a passport would be. Each state has to comply with these standards, but they take care of it, each of them on their own, which is the same way the SAVE Act would be. They're going to set the standards for what you would need to have this compliant, showing that you're a citizen and stuff like that. The documentation you'd have to get for sure. But each state takes care of it. It's not like it's not like a national ID voter base, national ID registration database of Americans. They've already got plenty of those, and so that, it's a little different. It's going to take a long time to get done, even if it gets passed. Even if they pass it tomorrow, I would guesstimate, once again, like 10 years for it to happen. For all the states to get all their systems in place, for all the lawsuits to go through, to shake out. And I'm fine with requiring ID to vote. I think it's ridiculous to not require ID to vote.
In California, they passed a law saying you can't.
You can't even ask for it. You can't even show it. Mm-mm. The only way you lose voting rights in California is if you try to show them your ID. That's it.
God.
It's I think we should have identification necessary to vote. I think it's ridiculous otherwise to not have that. The federal government does have the authority when it comes to national elections, federal elections for federal officials, to tell the states what to do, essentially, for those things. Questions with the SAVE Act are, what if you got married and a lady changed her name and now her birth certificate doesn't match what her name is? That's annoying. But guess what? Very clearly and openly, your state can come up with the mechanism, which would clearly be, okay, here's your birth certificate. Here is your marriage license saying that your name changed legally from this to this. Have a nice day. See you later. Like, everyone's like, oh, they're trying to make it where women can't vote.
This happens all the time.
Like this, you're going to show that, and you're going to show this. Like, imagine like a connection.
Are we
between the
preventing
two.
women from driving because they need a driver's license to drive?
Well, this we're
if their
talking
name
about
changes?
proof of citizenship, and it goes. You have to provide Social Security card. No, not even that. It's got to be birth certificate showing where you were born, and a couple other things. Something like, I can't remember exactly what that is. We don't have time to talk about it, but they're talking about getting rid of the filibuster, kind of right now, going to a standing or talking filibuster. I'm fine with it because that is how it used to be up until 1917. The filibuster we have now is a Woodrow Wilson creation. Okay. That's fine. If we go back to the way now, my caveat there is, let's also go back to the way things used to be, and the senators are elected by or appointed by the states themselves, because that's how it was at that time also. So it's a little bit different now than how it used to be. But
we would get rid of the income tax.
And we get rid of that too. That would be good too.
Because that's how it used to be.
Let's keep going back even further how it used to be. What year do you want to stop at?
Well, and back then, the goal was to make things cheaper before the Federal Reserve. Like, the whole premise of American engineering and the whole Industrial Revolution was the fact that America was able to keep making products cheaper. It wasn't until the Fed was instituted and they're targeting 2% inflation that we ever thought it was good for prices to rise. So, yeah, let's go back to Make America Great Again is 1900s with antibiotics. All right, well, if you guys enjoyed this, please share it around. Leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Go to GodHatesFeds.com to pick up some merchandise. Click the link, join GML to get some tea. If you want tea, we sell tea at joingml.com.
Liberty?
Liberty. It's hot. So joingml.com. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, share, comment, hit the bell, subscribe. That would be great. We really appreciate your interaction. Do all those things or don't. I don't really care. You got to visit the links in the show notes and support the sponsors that support this show. Do all that. We'll be back again potentially next week or the following. We don't know. This show is about when we want to do it. So just follow along and you'll have an update. So until then, I hope you have a good day and a good morning, Liberty.